All right, all right. On today's show, we are talking about, are you able to be a plus one in your relationship? What do we mean by that? Can you take the back seat? Do you always have to be the driver? Can you be a support person? All right, let's talk about it.
Thank you for tuning in. We are Tristin and Michael, and you are listening to Fused, transparent conversations for marriage, family, and relationships. We invite you to join us as we discuss conversations that are thought about but not talked about. So tell your friends and family to check us out. And of course, connect with us on all of our socials at Fused Marriages. Sir?
What's going on with you today?
You know, everything is
Feeling
everything.
good?
I'm feeling good. What about you?
I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good. It's hot here where we're at right now, at least in this state.
And listen,
Yeah.
the world is going crazy right now.
Just a little bit.
There's earthquakes happening, there's hurricanes happening, there's heat waves, everything. So y'all be safe. Make sure that you're connecting with your friends and your family and just checking in, making sure that everybody is doing well, because these times are a reminder how important the people that you love really are.
No, that's for real. That's truthful. Truthful on that.
Yeah. So, well, we have something that we are going to be talking about today. And of course, this is a conversation. This is a dialogue. So if this content meets you where you are, the goal here is to have impactful and important conversations. So please tell your friends, come on and tune in, check it out. As you know, new content drops every Monday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. So today's conversation is, the title topic is, can you be a plus one?
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea, right, can you be a plus one, is, it's something that's dealing with, hey, you know, you're talking about relationships first and foremost.
Right.
It could be just a committed relationship or a marriage. It could be either one. But nobody plays just a single role. Okay. Right? Nobody is always the star of the relationship or the star of the team, if we're using sports as an analogy. At least not a relationship standpoint. Now, you could maybe, majority of the time that may be your function, but every now and again you may be hurt. If we're looking at using sports, you may be hurt. You may, have an off night. You got somebody to step in and fill in for you. Okay. And you want that.
Yeah.
So
you want a strong team.
You want a strong team.
Right.
So the idea of just maybe being a plus one is, can you take another role? And I know that's a whole probably different topic for people that may, hey, well, a woman should do this, a man should do that. Maybe we're not talking about all of that today, but but can you do another role? And maybe we will get into it. I don't know. What you feeling like today?
Yeah, y'all know I like sports analogies. And when you said that first analogy, I really started thinking about, like, when you were saying, do you want a strong team? And nobody is the star. And the truth is, if you're a football player, you're the quarterback, you want good linemen. Like, you don't want your linemen to be like, we don't get any shine. Nobody pays attention to us, so who cares? No, you really want, if you're a quarterback, a running back, you want your linemen to be strong. You want them to be fast. You know how important that is. So the idea of having a strong team that supports the vision, that you're going the same direction with the same goal, that makes all the difference. So even if the quarterback gets the interviews, the quarterback is very well informed that it's not just him that is the reason for the championship. Right. So I'm really interested in kind of jumping into this kind of idea of the team and the plus one and playing multiple roles. Right. So of course, join in the dialogue. Let us know what your thoughts are. So the first part of this conversation, as we're getting into, what does it look like for a plus one and finances? Like, let's define what we mean when we're talking about that kind of that plus one role. That's good.
I think that's a good starting place. I think it's a good starting place because it's probably one of the most maybe controversial ones, at least, and I'm going to say in my gender.
Okay. My gender.
My gender being the male, right? Of like, how do we handle finances? Who handles the finances? What happens if your woman makes more money than you? Right? Is that an issue? Can I be a plus one and say, okay, you know what? She's making more money than me. First of all, can I accept that? Right? Is that okay? Is that like, or my ego hurt? Or my pride hurt in the aspect of my woman's making more money than me? Can I tell my boys that? How my boys look at me? How I look at myself?
Why is this like... Yeah, this is okay. We digging in.
I'm telling you about stuff that people like, and like men in particular, like literally, we have these thoughts, either whether we talking about them publicly or we thinking about them in private. There's a lot of
Where does that come from?
Because I think first of all, I think men, we're raised to be kings, right?
Okay.
We're raised to have to be able to provide for our family, to have provision for our family. I think that's really innate in us, right? And I think us as men, we can get into it deeper, but we see provision just as one-sided, which is financial. But really provision is more dynamic than that. And that's what I believe anyway, right?
Yeah.
It's really, an aspect, you also have, the protection aspect of it. You have the ability to, okay, you know what, you're trying to raise a certain type of family that you want to have. You have the vision of where the family's going. Provision can go in all kind of different ways outside of saying, okay, I'm the one making the most money. Not saying, there's a difference between saying I'm not making anything.
Right.
I'm not providing any impact versus saying she's making more.
Okay.
But that's still, even with that, even if, hey, I'm making, she's making twice as much or $20,000 more than me, some men may have an issue with that.
Wait, so here's some I want to pause there for a minute because that's what I hear you saying. So this idea of finances in the relationship and the man providing them speaks to how he is raised in terms of a societal kingship. To be king, you have to be making more than your queen. That is what you're... Is that what you're saying? That's what I'm hearing.
I know. That we can clean that up a little bit. That's not necessarily what I'm saying. I'm saying it's just innate in us. It's not that even society has placed that on a lot of us, right?
Okay.
I think it's in us hey, you know what? We're supposed to... We're made to be... I hate to say the word, but I'm going to use it. Hope it's not a negative term, but to be rulers.
Okay.
Right? But sometimes we take that to the nth degree and think that we should be ruling, overseeing, and conquering everything, which is not necessarily the case.
Right.
In finances, let's say even within our own family, which we should be trying to pursue the same goal, same agenda, and it ends up bleeding over into that.
Okay.
And it's a flawed thinking of hey, you know what? Am I still a man if my woman's making more than me?
Because in our relationship, we've had times, I've actually told you I want to buy you out of your job. Sure. I told you that from the beginning. And there has been seasons in our relationship where I have made more than you. Has that made you feel...
I felt good. Personally, I'm hey, you know what? You get a moment. That's just man. I get a moment of reprieve for a second, right? Not saying I just took the whatever off, but the idea, man, go get that. You know what I mean? I was hey, I can, I'm gonna say bust some suds or something. What you need me to do? Yeah, don't know what that means.
That means washing dishes. For y'all that are not from the country, this bust some suds.
Bust some suds. I have no problem.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Just make sure the kids are bathed, whatever have you, right? Because I guess one thing I realize in life is life it goes in cycles. Nobody is always on top, right? Yeah. I have a career and it's rising, this, that, and the other. At some point it plateaus and may even drop off. It's just part of the cycles of life. Not that anything I did anything wrong. It just happens. So to think that at some point my woman should not, or whatever have you, make more money than me, I'm gonna set myself up for some great disappointment. And I'm gonna be either frustrated or maybe passive aggressive,
acting some kind of way.
Exactly. Some kind of way, why you working all the time? You ain't at the house. You know what? You over here. You're not taking care of your family, making you trying to guilt trip you. Because I don't have the ability to be a plus one.
So when you use the terminology, this plus one, what we're talking about is that there's a primary and then there's the secondary. If you're invited to an event, I want you, and you can bring along whoever you want. And in the context of marriage, sometimes there is that person that is the lead. And then there's this person that's okay, I'm supporting the lead. I'm with them. I'm with you. And what's really interesting about the idea is why would you not want to be with them? That's what it speaks to me, is that if you're invited into a room, why would I be I'm not going if I wasn't I'm okay with that. I'm cool with that. And recognizing that, like you said, the tables can turn kind of at any time. So I think it's interesting to hear about men in particular, you in this case, talk about what it is to not be in the financial lead, because some people do think it's a hit to their ego and their masculinity, and then that does create this kind of weird, almost I support my woman as long as she doesn't make more money because in a way, like, it's like almost a subservient. This still keeps her in this gender role or this position. So I don't vibe with that, but I also see it all the time. Is that something that is taught generationally? Is that something that's observed? Is it something that we're seeing on maybe reflected in programming? Like, I'm I'm trying to figure out where's the origin of this thing.
I mean, I think it's a lot of misinformation, for one, right? People thinking, or maybe got boys being taught, men even being taught, saying, hey, you're supposed to bring home the bacon, right? You're supposed to provide. But I mean, in today's age, right, things are changing, right? I think the dynamics of families are changing, and the aspect of, like, you know what, you got 2 income households now.
Yeah.
Right? And, you know, women are educated, getting college degrees, starting businesses. Like, you might be married to one or pursuing a woman that's like, hey, she may make more money than you.
What do you think of the term alpha female?
Alpha female, you had to give me a definition what that means. I mean,
we've heard, like, oh, he's an alpha male. That means, like, he's a certain kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, he might be, like, rah-rah, beat on the chest. He might be, in this conversation, maybe he's making a lot of money. He's scaling the corporate ladder. He might be a more kind of aggressive type of person. If those same traits were applied to a woman, where she's, you know, she has a really dominant or bold personality, she's moving the needle forward, she's really about her business, when generally, I would say, when the term alpha female is said, that would be the context. But I've heard a lot of men, when you hear alpha female, I don't want an alpha female. I don't know that it necessarily means she's not feminine. Yeah. And I think that that's how it's equated. Because just because, you know, he's an alpha male doesn't mean that, like, that's like, and I've used this term before, this kind of hyper masculine idea of, this is what it is to be a man. I have to be this kind of guy. And so I just think terms like that, alpha female or alpha male or beta female, I hear them in society, and I wonder how they're viewed maybe by the other gender.
I think your question is very valid, very good question. I'll define alpha male first. And I hear alpha male, I just hear somebody that's really certain, sure-footed, has vision, has direction, kind of like unwavering type of person, right? Okay. Will step in any room, doesn't fear any man, ain't trying to conquer any man either, just like trying to make them bow down. Like, no, just like, hey, I'm me and I'm good with that. When you described alpha female, you described it a little bit different than that, right? Okay. And one thing I think what scares up some men, we say alpha female, is that, okay, let me rephrase that. Most women want an alpha male, right? Would you agree with that? Is that pretty fair to say? What you want to, I can name some names of people like that. Like,
don't do that. Don't do that.
But like, I'm just saying.
No, we're not going to name names. We're not.
We can make up names, but like, you know.
Don't he think about somebody right now?
Yeah, but like, no, it's nothing wrong. But like, most women, y'all want an alpha male. Somebody step to the plate, to approach them, to take the lead. Most women want that. Okay. Would you say that, right?
I think so. I think that would be true.
But the opposite would be true for men. Most men don't want a woman to like be in the forefront of them like that.
Okay, what do you mean forefront?
Forefront of, like, as you're saying, hey, if we're using the same definition, you know what I mean, just like almost taking the step of like, hey, I run this.
Okay, so what I hear you saying then is most men don't like the idea of being run by a woman. It doesn't mean that she can't be a strong woman.
Right, strong woman.
Well, I think most women don't want to feel like they're being run by a man either. I think that goes both ways.
Or be okay, let me rephrase that. Let's say, what about led by a woman? Do most men want to be led by a woman?
Are we talking about like in corporate? Or?
No, let's talk about it in general relationship, right? Because as an alpha male, you typically, that type of man is that he's offering, hey, I'm going to lead you into a pathway that, you know what, that's better than what you maybe have, or I can enhance what you currently have.
Okay, I think we would be fine with being, most of us, y'all let me know what y'all think, because I think that a lot of us would be all right with being enhanced, but the idea of not being able to like move forward without the provision of that, like, I don't mind a man opening a door for me, but I have also heard women say like, I got it. I mean, like, hey, if I'm open my door, carry my groceries, I'm good with it. Pay for my meal. But I also recognize the way in which it can be a control aspect. So
let's take out the control, right? Let's take out the negative aspect of what being led, right? To say an alpha male, if a woman, I'm trying to make an assessment, maybe come to an agreement or not, of that, of women that want an alpha male, want somebody that can take the lead, knows where they're going, has direction, is not afraid, this, that, and the other, right?
Okay.
The opposite of is not true for men. Most men don't want to be led by a woman. And is that sexist? Maybe. But most men, at least in the circles I know, don't want to be led by a woman. Right? So if she's saying she's the alpha female and she's into leading the family, leading the man, leading this, that, and the other, you're going to have a lot of men that's probably going to be like, you know what, no, as you mentioned, they're not signing up for that. They're going to have to get a passive man, or if you got an alpha male, you need a really strong man.
We in here.
We in here. We all the way.
Because we in here today. Because I would want to share this responsibility.
Okay.
I don't think that most men want to be like dragged around or drug around. And I know how you're talking about men. I just would want to be able to sit at the table and both to be considered versus I'm the man, I lead, you follow, I make the final call. I heard what you said, but we gonna do this instead. Like, hold on. Like, I don't know about how that feels, what that is. That's something I'm gonna have to think about. Y'all let me know what y'all think, because
I got a whole bunch of stuff on that, but we can move on from it, but yeah.
What?
No, because I mean, typically whenever
I don't mind being led. I know I said what, and then I can't talk. Yeah, what you say? Okay, go ahead.
No, we say alpha male. Typically, I mean, it's a person of integrity. So when you're saying like I don't want to be led,
I didn't say I didn't want to be led.
No. But like in the aspect of let's just think of all the positive aspects of an alpha male.
Okay.
Forget about the negative side. Like I don't
because you're an alpha male.
They lead right,
but I don't feel like I don't have a seat at the table.
Right. But what I'm saying is, so when women use the term I'm an alpha female, is really what they're saying is they want to lead the situation. And at least that's the perception in men's mind.
I think that's more of what it is. It's a perception in men's mind, which does go to the operational definition. Like, what do you mean when you say that?
That's why I was first asked you. What do you mean when you say alpha female?
You sure did.
So, I mean, so we can kind of go back and forth. So we got to define clearly what that means. But I think that could be if somebody just used it in a blanket statement. Hey, I'm an alpha female. A lot of guys gonna be like,
I'm strong and I'm moving forward.
See that right there? I don't know if that's I would consider like. It's same as alpha female, alpha male. That's not synonymous in the definition. You know what I mean? So,
I don't know. Let me think that through. Yeah. Y'all let me know. What is an alpha female? This is a good question. What is an alpha female and what is an alpha male? And what does that mean to you? And how do you perceive that of the opposite gender? Can you be married to an alpha female? Can you be married to an alpha male? Let's talk about that. So, I want to move on because we don't have much longer in the show and I still have a couple questions.
Come on with it.
Okay. So we've kind of talked about the finances. We've talked about these kind of bolder personality traits, the alphas on either gender side. What about like the quote unquote the dirty work, the things that need to get done? What are your ideas about? Can you be a +1 when it comes to dirty work?
No, absolutely. As we talk about being a +1, right? So the idea of being +1, like I may have some things that I traditionally do. I may be the one taking out the trash, you know what, handling the car stuff. But what happens if like, hey, she's, getting home late from work. Can I make sure the dishes are clean? Can I make sure the floor is mopped? Can I make sure the refrigerator's cleaned out or been wiped down, whatever have you? Make sure the kids done all their homework. Which some people may think, okay, that's traditional. Hey, that's the woman's responsibility. She takes a lot of that on. But can you mold into either of those roles?
Yeah.
To make yourself and make the relationship a +1, right? It may not have to stay there, but are you okay with that? And I think you should be okay with that. What are you thinking about that?
Yeah, be okay with that. Clean out that fridge.
Okay. Well, okay, I got a question for you.
I got a question for you. I'm only kidding. No, I'm kidding.
I got a question. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I think it is important to be able to to be fluid is really what you're talking about. To be able to be fluid in your relationship, because what can happen is that you get so stuck in this is what I'm supposed to do, this is my role, that the relationship doesn't work because there's this one rigid part. And then like, because you're pressing against this rigidity and because you're trying so hard to be like, no, this is what I do, you're causing unnecessary conflict in the relationship. And it doesn't mean that you have to do it well. Like, it doesn't mean, it means, hey, they might, you know, you might do Ari's hair. Ari's our daughter. You might do her hair because I haven't done it, and she's not going out with like all the bows and whistles and braids and all of that. She might have a little, you know, a puff, but it's done. And I appreciate that you would do that in lieu of me being able to for whatever reason. Now, that doesn't mean that that's something you want to do forever. Like, you be the one, I'm going to go find somebody to do her hair. Come on. But just kind of thinking through these different roles, and they can switch from season to season, from task to task. And I think it's important to consistently have conversation where it ebbs and flows. Hey, babe, I'm not able to do this right now. This is shifting. This is changing, these kinds of things, and being able to be flexible. Speaking of our daughter, we have, I'm going to tell a little story about the lady that does her hair. So our hairdresser for our youngest, she's been getting busier, and she was telling me, she's like, oh, man, it's been like, I haven't had time to do some of the other things. She's a really good cook. She's like, I haven't had time to cook as much as I normally do. So we've been ordering out. We've been bringing some things because she was having like an influx of clients. And to think about that, okay, the support system is I have an influx of clients. I can't do some of these other things. Partnership is I meet you. Okay, we can eat out for a little while. We can order. I can cook some things, coming together so that the goal of the business that she has, doing kids' hair, and she does an excellent job doing kids' hair, then that is able to move forward because that's the vision. Hey, she has support from her husband saying, this is what you want to do. I got you. Let me take care of these other pieces so that thing can move forward, knowing that eventually it's going to balance out. Hey, we're going to have moved that needle forward. We're going to have done that goal. We're going to have accomplished it. And it's a we thing. That's why you can't, you can't just be fanning yourself. I did, because it does take a we, whether it's you and your spouse, you and a team. If you have kids, it's a lot more. The accomplishment is not just the accomplishment for you. It's you had backup. You had a plus one. You had somebody that was going to make sure you were good. So,
no, that's good. I appreciate that example. But I do have something like to kind of bring up. Hopefully, I want to get your insight on.
Okay.
Because like I do believe, I think dirty work has limitations.
Okay.
And let me explain what I mean by that. So oftentimes, you know what, women may come to men and say, hey, I need you to help with, doing the dishes or making sure the kids are this, that, and the other. Because you're busy, all right? You're dynamic. You're doing a lot of different things, this, that, and the other. But I don't think the opposite is true. Okay. If we get busy, right, we probably won't, and probably not, we probably should not, but we don't have the opportunity to say, hey, I need you to go push this lawnmower in 108 degrees. Okay. I need you to, jack this car up and change this oil. I'm getting this grind on. So I just want women to give a little grace to men a little bit, right?
Are you speaking on behalf of
I'm speaking on behalf of men because y'all push a lot on us and we step up to the plate. A lot of us do. You know what I mean?
A lot of you do. That's true. And you don't get enough credit for that.
A lot of us do step up to the plate. And you know what? We take that on, whether it's doing our little girl's hair. You know what I mean? Taking the kids to school. We take pride in all that, right? Making breakfast or making dinner. Making sure that the kids are bathed, you know what I mean? Making sure the house is clean because y'all are busy. Y'all are dynamic women.
Amen. But
just know that we don't have that same opportunity to tell y'all to say, hey, you know what? Hey, go dig this tree up because I got to go replant another one. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't even feel like we wouldn't have that. There's no opportunity to say that. Like, we can say it, but like, realistically, that's not going to be something we would ask y'all to do, even if we are busy.
And we're specifically speaking about dirty work, so...
Right.
And well, I don't know if it's true in all cases because I know women that take out the trash. I know people that do the lawn. We know people that will mow the lawn and the husband does not. So I don't know if I would say that that's necessarily a fair and equal exchange across the board. But I do recognize that men don't have as many outlets. Whereas, hey, if you can't watch, I might have a girlfriend that can babysit for a little while, or I might be able to take the kids to like the nursery or something. And it's not to say like, oh, my husband was being the babysitting. That's the dad. You watching your kids. So that's a whole different conversation. But I don't know as many men that could be like, hey, would you mind mowing my lawn? You know, like where it's a different thing to say, hey, could you watch my kids for a few hours? Or asking a guy, hey, would you mind coming over and mowing the lawn? I'm kind of busy. I'm tied up. Or would you mind changing the oil in my car or dropping it off? So I do think that there are some systematic things that, some privileges, some benefits, and I can see it in that way. I do think that there's a need for exchange of grace on both sides. Fair enough, that's true. But I wouldn't say that it's like, I wouldn't say that it's overlooked either, that it's like we don't recognize the things. Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily society-wide, but I would hope that, you know, in our relationship and in those that are watching and that are tuned in, that there is a level of appreciation.
Consider that. Consider that. That's all I ask.
That's a good one.
For women to consider that.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. That is a really good one, doing the dirty work. Because I think that a lot of men would pitch in.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, I mean, doing the dirty work typically gets pushed one way. That's all I'm saying. So. Okay.
Well, in saying that, then, do you think most men feel, and this is we're talking a lot of generalities. That's why we want to hear from you guys on this. But would you think that a lot of men feel that that their spouse is their cheerleader, that they are like, that they are awesome men, and then speaking from the woman? But I want to hear what you would say on that. Do you think like that they think you're number one fan?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not, right? Because us as men, we need a lot of affirmation that we don't ask for. Right. So we don't ask for it, but we need it. And the idea that so a lot of us as men, we end up looking at affirmation in other places. So I don't think we receive it, but we don't ask for it. So it's hard to fault, our wives or our girlfriends for that, because it's something that we desperately need. We need to be, even with the smallest thing. Hey, you hung that picture up. Man, boy, you hung that picture up. I don't know how you did that. I hung it up 2 feet high. I don't know.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
But like, yeah.
Okay.
But, you know what I mean? But like, we need it. So I don't think a lot of us, we don't know how to ask for it because of our pride and thinking like, no, I don't need that. And we honestly believe we don't think we need it, but we feel something on the inside about it. It affects us because we end up searching out other places. Validation, being looked at, whether it's at work, whether it's with our family. Oh yeah, my mom and sister and cousin, them, they like, I'm gonna go hang with them because they feel some way about me that my wife don't. At least that's the thinking. Work, money, church, whatever have you. Go to these places and feel the love with affirmation that they require. And you can then fall into a trap with that, right? You go, the wrong person give it to you, and you like it too much, cause a situation.
That's a lot. That's a lot to unpack. The need for male affirmation, and to have those opportunities to discuss what a man needs. Because like you said, they don't say it. So how do we figure this out? How do we figure out what is it that men need? What is it that women need? Because women need affirmation too. And we're more prone to tell you, like, I need a minute, or I need some time, or I'm going to go, and we can get affirmation from each other, because women will in a second, girl, I love your hair. Your nails are so cute. Where'd you get those shoes? Men, I don't hear that. Even in like activity or physically, I don't hear a lot of men be like, that's a nice tie. Right. Or, man, I see you, the way you waxed that car, man, that's, you don't hear it as much.
I can't tell you how to fix it for women, but I can tell you, I think how you fix it for men. I would just tell women to celebrate your man. Don't think it's too much. Don't think like, I ain't doing all that. He should be doing that.
Okay.
I would just say, you know what, try to squash that type of thinking. If you think like that, and just celebrate your man in many ways as possible. And if you don't think you want to do that, that's just on you. Then the outcome, I don't think it's going to be very good if a man is not celebrated. And it is ego driven. So when I'm not saying it's something like, oh man, he's ego, and it is. But to me, that's our way of receiving love.
We've talked about this before, about men being more fragile than they like to let on.
Very true. Very true. No, very true. Yeah, we are. We're probably more sensitive than most women. But it comes out in different ways, right? Anger, frustration, shut down, this, that, and the other. I'm working in the garage for 8 hours and 110 out there because I'm hurt. I'm hurting mad.
I'm mad. I'm gonna go pass out in the garage.
Pass in the garage. 110 out here. You know what? But we're sensitive. We're probably more sensitive. We don't cry. At least y'all don't see it. Right? So just got something to think about.
Something to think about. You heard it here. Baby, I celebrate you.
You do.
I think you're wonderful.
You do.
I love when you hang the pictures in the house, 2 feet on the floor. I'm gonna start going through the house and be like, "You did that. Go on, baby.
Hey, I'm gonna hang. What else you need, huh, baby? What else you need?
You take out that trash so well.
Hold on, what you got more trash? Where it at?
I love when you wipe off the cabinets. I'm gonna start. The countertops look so sparkly. Very good. Well, everybody, we've had a really interesting conversation, so I just thank you all for joining us. Please make sure that you continue to connect with us. And as always, check out all of our social media handles at Fuse Marriages, or go to our website, fusemarriages.com, for more info and resources. Let's talk about it. Michael Tristin.